Hey, and here's the next BetterUI video for Airbnb's property page. So the focus of uh, of this little exercise is to essentially list a couple ideas for how we can make this page better, and the focus is on this primary metric on number of bookings. So obviously this is the primary call to action, getting people to kind of reserve that property and or book that property. All right. So I brought a couple thoughts here of what could be changed or could be tested ideally. And just to refresh these ideas, each idea is based on a subjective expression of almost like a guess. So this ranges from -3 being kind of for sure it's a terrible idea to between 0 is like I don't know, and the maximum is +3, which is like for sure it's an amazing idea, is going to work. Okay, and so like a 2 is like a perhaps like a most likely, it's like a good guess. It's like, yeah, I feel really good about that. A 1 is like, yeah, maybe it'll actually improve something, and so that's this column. Okay, for each idea I have the subjective certainty, and then I also brought in I'm going to share for some ideas I actually have additional points for if I'm actually using past tests to support that. If there's a test supported, like icon labels, if there's a A/B test supporting that idea, then that gets additional points. And then this is the total, and that's essentially how we prioritize. Okay, and we get stronger ideas and then maybe weaker ideas. Okay, so we add these two together and we get this value here. So yeah, that's just kind of in a nutshell of how we kind of think about changes, and this will be visible here. All right, so let's go over first idea, what it's worth. Okay, so on the property page here, there's lots of information, great, and then there's this price right away. Okay, $100 per night for this particular room. And I'm thinking this should look a little bit more like this, perhaps. Okay, where we precede the $100 fee by maybe if we have information about like the neighborhood, and let's say the neighborhood's actually more there's other listings which are more expensive. I think that's a very good psychology or persuasive kind of approach, where you set up a comparison and you might say like, hey, in the neighborhood everything else costs like on average like $141 versus you're getting, you know, a room for only $100. So by setting up this comparison, essentially what we're calling what it's worth, that's one change I would do here. Okay, and I put up a 2 for it. I'm feeling pretty good about it, but I also brought in 1 point for one evidence point from Data Stories 21, which I'm about to share here. Okay, so here is our a little document where we actually capture and we measure past tests that follow a particular pattern. Okay, and that's exactly this pattern here, stating that, hey, if you're showing a price point and you have a reason to show that it's actually worth a lot more, whether it's discounted or whether there's an average, that's the other products are more expensive, and this is like essentially you're setting up showing how good this deal is. Then we have a number of tests supporting that, and from that we measured this point here. Okay, so we pull directly this, and we have some additional certainty that it's might be a good idea, might work. Okay, so that's what it's worth. That's idea 1. Next in line for this property page here for Airbnb would be icon labels. Notice this little thing here, this little tiny lightning bolt of some sort. When you hover over this, it actually states that it's an instant booking. Okay, so the owner, like, you don't have to actually ask for permission, right? Like if it's an instant book, you enter your credit card and it's yours. Okay, now I'm suggesting that, and I'm putting a 1, I'm suggesting that icons are not really understood. and could be a lot more, have a lot more clarity when we have actually icon labels. So we use text. And I put a 1 for it, so I'm feeling like, yeah, maybe it's a good improvement. But then I'm also pulling in a couple points from past tests, and these tests are actually here on evidence, GoodUI evidence, goodui.org/evidence. And there's a couple tests here, okay, which show that labels were more effective, might have been more effective, okay? Here we have an insignificant test. Here we have a suggestive test, all from the same, I guess, site. And here we have a very, very highly powered, lots of exposures, lots of conversions, very highly significant result. So when we add all these together, 1 point, half point, quarter point, we arrive at 1.75. Okay, and we add that up, and then that's how our idea ranks here. Okay, and here's the implementation of this, or suggestion of how to do this. Maybe add a bit more space, and I still show the lightning bolt, but state something like clearly it's instant book or instant booking, and then explain it. You can choose to get this room right now, or something like that. Something that kind of is a little bit more clear. Okay, so that's idea 2. Idea 3 would be showing the next available dates. The issue is, I mean, in this case here, I haven't actually expressed any dates. So I just open up a property. I'm not having like stated my check-in, check-out dates. But if you look at Airbnb, there's some properties are really, booked in advance. And you open up this calendar widget here, and it shows all of these dates are like booked. Okay, and then you have to like scroll to change it next month, sometimes change it like go 2 or 3 months ahead, and that takes, I guess, some effort. And I'm suggesting to somehow visualize that, like show that, hey, the next available date is July 21st. Maybe make it a link. So if you click on this, it actually pre-populates that for you. So at least you know, without having to do anything, if you haven't expressed any dates, at least you know that, hey, everything's booked up until July 21st. And you can like make a decision quicker and move on. Or you can maybe select that, and that maybe if that works for you, you click this and it pre-selects it for you. All right. I'm putting a 2 for it. That's a subjective feeling. It's like I think it's if it were to be tested, it has a very good chance of winning. Unfortunately, I don't have any evidence to support that, so hence a 0 here. Okay. Next idea, falling back on a 0 state. So in some rare occasions, or actually, well, I don't know how rare they are, but I've encountered properties that actually don't have any availability. Okay, so that's what that's how I perceive like a complete 0 state as. Like you essentially are asked to book, like you have the property page is telling you can book it, but in reality, the owner, I don't know, is on the vacation, hasn't enabled something. I don't know how it works, but no matter how many months you go ahead, there's like nothing to click on, and you can't really book this thing. Okay, so again, I have no evidence to support this, but I'm feeling like, yeah, I would be willing to bet everything on it. Like that's a full certainty improvement. At least I'm placing that sort of bet here. So it's a maximum 3. And the way it could look like is something like this. Okay, so in that particular case, state that there's no availability whatsoever, and maybe explain what's happening. Maybe, I don't know, again, owner went on vacation, is not available, is just taking time off, whatever. And the primary call to action would then be contact the host. So ask him, hey, what's going on? Like maybe you can, maybe there's some explanation, maybe nudge him or her to do something about this property, or take it off completely, or show some dates. Or alternatively, have a fallback and in this case, fast track to similar other listings. Okay, so that's the fallback 0 state. Next idea, smaller commitment. What's this? Show what type of a refund is available until when? Okay, right. So I think there's a good message here, a bit of a lower commitment message that you won't be charged just yet. Maybe it actually raises some questions like, okay, so when will I be charged? But what I'm getting at with this idea is the alternative way of presenting, or maybe another combination, complementary way of presenting a lower commitment is the refund. And of course, Airbnb also has cancellation fees and cancellation rules and refund rules. I think they're listed somewhere here at the no. See, well, that's the issue here. I'm kind of have to kind of look for it somewhere. Somewhere there. Okay, let's find this. Cancellations. There we go. Okay, moderate. Okay, moderate. Cancel up to 5 days. Cancel up to 5 days before your trip and get a full refund. Well, that's kind of another idea. Why is it moderate? Like you get. The point is, 5 days before your trip starts, you get a full 100% refund. Okay, and I think that's a powerful message. That's like essentially allows people to, just use their credit card and have that feeling that, hey, if it's more than 5 days from the start date, then people might still cancel. Like you have the privilege of canceling, getting all your money back. Okay, and I think that's a powerful message that could be shown here as well. And it's right here. That's what I'm suggesting. Cancel up to 5 days before your trip and get a full refund. All right. I think that's good to have that nearby the call to action where we're making a kind of a purchase decision. I brought a little bit of evidence for that from Data Stories pattern 15, which is again right here. This is all available on goodui.org/datastories. It's where we search for similar tests. And we have pattern 15, bulleted benefits, kind of reassurances near the call to action. And we have a number of tests. Most are positive, some are negative. And and then we pulled a count from that. So we pre-populate that right here. All right. What else? One more idea here, or two more ideas. Beneficial testimonials. Okay, so there's testimonials here shown in a particular way, which is, I think, great. There is another way of presenting testimonials that we found to be effective, and that's doing this. Okay, so very similar to what they're doing, what Airbnb is doing, except highlighting the kind of key benefit or key statement that the person expressed. So maybe Michelle loved the cleanliness, or maybe Brad liked the fact that it was a quiet apartment and he could, sleep properly. So being able to kind of pull something that's primarily reflective in the testimonial and making that larger, highlighting it, so allows people to kind of bypass all the kind of, in-depth reading, and allowing them to just scan the headlines and still get a very strong understanding of what people really loved about this apartment. Okay, and that's what we kind of call beneficial testimonials here, and I'm putting a 1 for it. 1 because they already have testimonials. It's not like they don't have them, but it's just a slight little improvement on it. And I also am bringing in 1.25 points from pattern 19, which is right here, where we're tracking and measuring this type of presentation for testimonials. And we have 2 tests which scored positive, and they're netting to 1.25. Okay. And what else? One last idea, I think, is this. Okay, contact host, alternative call to action. Putting it as a 0 for, I don't know if it'll do better. I think it's okay to have such ideas, right? Like, okay, it's kind of 50-50, maybe not. I also don't have any evidence for it. But the idea is to make this a little bit more visible. It's kind of at the top, at the bottom, and I'm suggesting to do something like this. So you have your primary, and then you have like your secondary call to action. Again, I don't know if this is good or bad, but maybe some people just are not ready to book. Maybe they have a question that they really want to have answered, and maybe having this choice here, being able to more easily, reach out to this person, maybe is a good thing. And keep in mind that this is also floating, so this is pretty much available, like visible in most of the cases. Okay, so that's it for these ideas, and yeah, I think they're all potentially could be separate tests, given enough traffic, or if on lower traffic sites, they could be. There's a potential for merging them all into one single variation, testing them all together, and getting hopefully results faster. Okay, so that's what I would do if I were working with Airbnb and this were my project. And yeah, hopefully some of these ideas were useful. And yeah, thanks for watching. Cheers.